Hi, everyone. I'm Shelby Jo Long. I am host of the Genius Entrepreneur podcast, and I love to tell the stories of geniuses that have developed a business out of their own genius zone and level of expertise so they can start to make impact in other people's lives. And today is no exception. We have the opportunity to learn about someone's story about how they have transcended this opportunity and built a business to help create change in other people. Dr. Dawn Ella has the product of Soul Link and through the Supernal world creation business that she has. And I'm excited to learn a little bit more about her story and more about what she has to offer the world. There's a whole lot that we have to learn about. So, Dawn, welcome to the podcast today. I'm excited to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? Tell us what you have going on so the audience can know everything that you have to offer.
Sure. I'm Dr. Dawn Ella, and I am a soul physician. I also have a Doctor of Divinity in Metaphysics. I've had a business, The Soul Medic, for 9 years now. And I have Soul Link, that's a product of Supernal World Creations, a nonprofit that's been running for 5 years now. Soul Link, the meditation app, was just launched last month.
So I don't think I have ever met a soul physician. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that means? Because it sounds something that's really cool, but I think we need to dig a little bit deeper into that.
Sure. So being a soul physician, I'm able to interpret the inner workings of your inner self, your higher self, and have a better comprehension of that inner light and how you would personally yourself navigate in this world. So I see things as, everybody's kind of a piece to this puzzle. So just like we each have our own fingerprint that's unique, we each have our own soul print that is unique. And so I have the ability to interpret aspects of your own soul print and help you navigate through your journey in life based on that.
Sounds pretty amazing. You have quite a bit of experience. Can you tell me about where this inspiration came from to come up with this new imprint and this new brand within the marketplace?
Sure. It all began 17 years ago when I had a tragic accident. At that time, I was in a coma, so I had a near-death experience, and I was in the coma for 3 days. And at the time that it took place, I remember going down a dark tunnel, and then I just popped out to where there was all this light. And I was told, it's not your time yet, you need to go back. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And I was told that I needed to help heal people. And in this healing process, I needed to utilize a bridging technique in order to bring transmutation. And so I was like, okay, is that it? Because to me, I was pretty young at the time, and I thought there would be a lot more. And I was told, well, you're going to make it your own, and there's going to be plenty of things to follow, but you need to start there. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Unfortunately, the idea was wonderful, but when I got back into my body, I was very broken. And I realized that I needed to utilize that bridging technique and that healing aspect on myself first. So I was bedridden for a year, and there began my journey of my inner conversations with my higher self, my inner self, to understand, why did this happen? Where am I going? Why does all of this happen in the world? So I could get a deeper understanding to my journey and my path that just took a pivotal turn at that time.
Yeah, tell me more about that. What was because I'm all about discovering that pivot, right? Like, what was the transformation that you went through? Because I'm assuming that's what you want to inspire in other people as well, is to take that journey to discover what is their true calling. Is that what it was?
Yeah, definitely. So before this happened, I was a graphic designer and very creative in the arts, and It doesn't mean that that's still not a part of me. However, I just had a deeper calling to be in service to others. So even in the graphic design business, I was, in service to my clientele. However, my spiritual root was a lot deeper in the service that I could provide. So this was an ample opportunity to have a deep interconnection. And what took place to me with me when I had the near-death experience was, again, the brain injury, and losing most of my memory. So I didn't recall most of my life. So you really come in with a clean slate. And that actually was to my advantage, because my inner connection and my inner working became my foundation that I stood on with everything that I did. So that inner calling of your heart and your soul, of your drive, not just for the creative graphics that were inspirational, but in my role in order to help humanity, which began then with helping myself. I mean, I could barely stand. My head was cracked open from here to here. And when that happened, the nerve in this eye was nicked. And because of that, the eyeball was in the corner. I could barely stand. I could barely walk. Relearning how to do things was really, an inside job. And I realized that, we have this internal compass of our own that we need to tune into. However, that's where a lot of the blockages are. So it's not always pleasant to in tune to that. So what I had created was a platform for meditation in order to help that transmutation process more naturally, so that we could hear that inner calling of our heart and soul and clear away those fragments and those blockages more naturally through sound healing music, in order to allow us to interconnect to that guidance. So what came to me very naturally because of, the brain injury, was something that I still needed to heal within myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, for what had already taken place.
Absolutely. That's pretty powerful. And that meditation app, that meditation process is that's the soul link that you have now
Yes.
systematized and offered to other people to help them transcend.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know when I started working with people through the Soul Medic, I found, okay, let's meditate. And it was something that wasn't always easy for people. When you close your eyes and you start to in tune, again, that's where all the fragments are. That's where all the blockages are. Or the mind is racing of all of your things you have to do. So what can we do to have that peaceful state that we can attune to every day, to help us navigate our journeys in a more creative way? So again, that's where I put the creative aspect in it, where I actually have the meditation where you keep your eyes open and you look at nature and beautiful aspects of nature, in order to allow for your experience to be with eyes open. Because I know when I had my near-death experience, my eyes were open. I could clearly see the light. I could clearly see the tunnel I was going down. My experience to my higher state wasn't with eyes closed. So I think it's a creative way that we can, allow for an opportunity when we meditate to have something that our eyes can follow on a beautiful journey that's visual in nature.
Speaks to your visual creativity and the area that you were in before. So your
yeah. So you see how whatever you have it doesn't mean it can't be upgraded to a different platform on your canvas of whatever you're doing. It's just that sometimes we have a higher calling of an aspect of service, of some gift that we have within us that we can share with the world.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Just as a side note, we're going to have to do another podcast to be able to talk about our brain injury experiences, because I'm sure that there's a lot of good information in there. We're both survivors of traumatic brain injuries, and the process and the navigation of how to deal with that. It's a trauma, that's something on its own. However, I, in a similar way, understand that there's a process in dealing with things, and there's a process to meditation. Seems like the first piece of the process before you can achieve that higher level thinking and that higher level processing to be able to achieve what you want to out of life, the higher calling, if you will. So,
Yeah, well, I know when I was pregnant with my son 27 years ago, I started tuning into the brain and how the brain is programmable. And,
mhm.
as he was an infant, and I would run across articles, the science of, the brain and how, the brain is like a sponge between 0 and 6 years old. And everything the child is around and hears becomes a program in the brain. And that after that in life, if we want to reprogram our program, that we need to do so in an alpha and theta state of consciousness. So all of us want to do better and have better. However, it seems to be a struggle sometimes to get into the subconscious mind in order to allow for a more cleaner slate so that we can, attune to that higher calling that we sense and know within our heart and soul. And so how do we have that, thought and that inner attunement? And again, that's where Soul Link comes in. The sound formula is comprised of a patent pending in 37 countries of the process of that sound creation in the compilations. So I mix things like binaural beats and sacred geometry through sound and alpha state of consciousness and Safaji frequencies all lined up and formulated together in order to help the internal aspect of you be in more harmony so you can in tune with that aspect of your own self, and in such a way that the brain actually has healing. And again, I had to do this to help myself first. So
Right.
again, the idea was 27 years ago, the accident was 17 years ago, and here I am now. So it does take time, but it is something that working with has helped me and those that I've worked with through the Soul Medic, and now for the world through Soul Link.
So my guess is that people that have had traumatic brain injuries are not your ideal client, right? So
Well,
that
I
was
wouldn't say.
but like because we are a small group and it's
Yeah.
a good thing that we're a small group, but it's also you have to be willing to. So who do you work with and what type of like where are they at? And then that when they are like, I need to go see a soul medic and so I can figure out what's next. Like tell me about that. What are the clients that you work with and what kind of journey do you take them on and what kind of results do they get? Can you tell me about that brand story that you have?
Sure. Well, and it shows up through that divine intervention. So
Sure.
when you attune to your highest self, you will then utilize a law of attraction of like attracts like. So
Mhm.
when you are in your higher self, those that need to reach and that are searching for their higher self will show up to you. So through, connections of people knowing people, again, I started my business of the Soul Medic, helping people individually as a soul mentor through the soul physician. And clients would just appear to me, and that and others would refer them. So most of my clientele were philanthropists, people that were helpful to the industry. And I feel that that was obviously an inspiration for me as well. And that's where the Supernal World Creations, my nonprofit, came in. I was inspired by them and what they were doing and thought, well, maybe my next leg of the journey can be through a nonprofit, and Soul Link can be something that's brought to the world, in a different way. So, it's always an inspiration to be
Sure.
inspired by others, but what you invest in, investing in you as well, it goes vice versa. So I help people from all walks of life with anything. Usually there was a disruption they would want me to help them through. So let's say they were navigating through a certain part of their life and they had a blockage with relationships or health that they couldn't get past. And nothing they did seemed to help them get past it. And they were seeking somebody of higher wisdom that could maybe help them figure out. I would definitely say I'm a problem solver. So they would need to have some kind of problem they would come to me with to help solve. And there would
Sure.
begin the journey, and it's not a quick fix. It's something that takes time. As we navigate through our transformation, we're peeling things like an onion to where there's just layers that peel off till we can get to that core piece. However, I've had much success with helping others get to their highest potential and allowing their piece of the puzzle to be put back together and light up and shine. And it's in that service that we give to others that brings back light to us. So
Sure. Sure. It's that law of attraction that when you're operating at your highest states and then you're able to, then that enables you to be open to working with other people. It's hard to reach that. And it's hard,
Yeah.
and I often find and work in a similar space in a different way, but it's like, it's often hard to find people that are willing to do that journey, and it's, if they need to hit a quote unquote rock bottom before they go on that journey with you. But it's if people are ready to get into that higher level of work, then often they understand that they can't do it on their own. So
Yeah. Well, and I think SoulLink allows for that transmutation through your investment. What you're investing in with that is also investing in you. So it's meeting you where
absolutely.
you're at and helping you through the process to make it more seamless and harmonious. Because if we have a harmonic equilibrium within, then whatever we do will be in more harmony. So once we in tune with that internally, it helps run the path that we are desiring to go down. So
Yeah.
that's been my perception. And that was, all part of this creation. There's many different pieces to the patent pending formula that allow for a lot of the work to be done for you, so that this is a helpful tool. It's not a replacement of, it's an addition to. So it's just an adding piece to whatever else that you are doing in order to enable you to have that higher state of consciousness come more easily.
Sure.
And naturally, organically, so that wherever you are in your journey, it will be of assistance to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, where can our audience find more out about your Soul Link and the Soul Medic and whatever you have going on? Because it sounds like pretty amazing work.
Yeah. So Soul Link, you can find it on soul-link.org. And we have an app that's on the Apple Store, also on Google Play. And we also have a web app. So you can reach it on any platform, and that will enable you to tune in. We have a 7-day free trial if you want to just try it out.
Yeah.
But there's many different audio compilations. And, within the meditation, I let you create it yourself. So I know that meditation, if you do it every day, it can get kind of boring. And how do we keep creativity within that as well? You can go through and choose your own audio, and then you can choose your own video. You can change it, each day, and then choose your own frequency. So there's different rife frequencies that attune to physical ailments that you can add to your audio compilation yourself. And then you create your own meditation, and then it puts all three of those pieces together that you just chose, and then you begin your healing journey. And let's say you're going to do a particular meditation, the audio of helping to transform this aspect of self, for 7 days in a row. And each 7 days you want to go to a different part of the country. You want to go to Costa Rica and fly with the dolphins, or you want to go to the tropical rainforest. All of the
Sounds
videos,
glorious. Right in the middle of
all
November.
yeah, all the videos on there we have done ourselves. I have creatively had visions of them, and we've gone to different parts of the country so that we could do the video aspect, which is different, because we're using drones, and we're actually able to get drones flying through the rainforest for 22 minutes. The
Wow.
meditations have 22 minutes, 12 minutes, and 5-minute segments that you can choose your own time. But to be able to do that, it was something that we had to do differently. We couldn't just, have a regular drone because they don't fly for that long. So we had to strap a particular camera onto it so we can get a certain quality, and then be able to slow down the video so you are on a meditative journey that's not going so fast. However, you are on a higher dimension, hovering through, wherever the location is that you are going in. And we have snow, and we have fall colors, and we have lakes, and we have ocean. We have a lot of different variety for you to choose from, to make it fun and creative through your meditative journey.
I love how that brand comes together with the kind of roots of the visual and creative side is such an important part of your meditation journey. I think that's a really interesting synergy between those brands. Between that, I mean,
Yeah.
so what I think is that's kind of like your foundational genius is in a different form now to be able to transform others in the way that is that and that is foundational to the way you operate and interpret the world. So I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I think that's a I think that's an excellent example of someone who has transformed their foundational genius into a product that can help others, and it created a whole business around it. So I think that's really amazing that story that you had that brand story. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing it with us.
You're welcome. Thank
And we
you.
can find you through the app, and then we can find you on LinkedIn and website and all that to be able to discover more about SoulLink.
Yeah.
Is there anything new that you want to tell the audience before we sign off today?
Well, gosh, there's so many things. I do know the world's going through a lot right now. I know that through this process of the creation, I've watched things happen in the world where everything is, getting a little bit more heated. So tuning into something like this can help your inner state, even navigate the stresses of daily life. And another piece about the eyes open experience is that we just contracted to be able to do a VR experience for
Oh, amazing.
meditation, which is in the process now. It will be launched next year. We are working on the first platform with the new Apple VR glasses. And so that will be launched next year in order to enable people to really have an eyes open experience through meditation and actually kind of, step away for 10 minutes and be able to tune into another state, another part of the world that really helps us stay in that higher vibrational frequency. So there's so much more to come. I have so many more ideas that keep coming. This is just one of the next ones that's already in production. So let's start to work with SoulLink, and then there's more to come being created. So please continue to tune in.
Absolutely. I look forward to our next podcast interview when your VR thing is going to.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think that's something that's a powerful message too to all of our listeners out there about the building a business out of their genius. It doesn't stop with just one thing. It just keeps growing. Your foundational genius does not change, but it can be in multiple iterations to help your audience in however it can be. And I think that's the really amazing and creative part about being an entrepreneur. But then when you're an entrepreneur of your own genius, it's endless opportunities.
It is.
So it really is. And I think your story is a great one to show that to our audience that they could do it too. Just got to discover what that genius is. Hopefully not through a terrible experience. But sometimes that's how we discover it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And always to, never give up, and to always believe in yourself, and to believe in that idea that you have within you of your desires, of your heart and soul. It was quite a journey to heal myself with this first and then bring it to the world. So it has been a long journey. However, being resilient and not giving up and believing in your dream, and letting all of the things stay in a vibrational match to you to allow cooperative components to come together and support you is something that, is always a great inspiration to tune into.
I was going to ask you for a piece of advice to all those genius entrepreneurs out there. And I think that's a great piece of advice. Just keep going.
Yeah. And there's a solution to every problem.
Yeah.
Believing that there's a solution to every problem and being a problem solver, knowing that there's a solution, there might only be one, and creating your own, because, after I had the idea of what I was supposed to do, it wasn't out there. I needed to create this. So, I did study, I did get, wisdom in order to inspire me, but I never let my own desire of my own inspiration leave. So what you're investing in, invest with you, and to follow that part of your heart and soul, and allow those cooperative components to be part of the bridging that happens for you and your mission here in this world.
Absolutely. truly inspirational. Thank you for telling us your story.
Thank
I
you
think
for
that's
having me.
We'll be sure to include your LinkedIn profile and your and the link for your website and your app in the show notes so people can access it as soon as possible and to be able to access your genius and your inspiration to the world. So thank you, Dawn, for coming on and telling us your story.
Thank you for having me.
And to all you genius entrepreneurs out there, we learned a few important lessons with this interview. You got to have resilience. You got to understand who you are and don't be afraid to enter that into the world. Also, your genius can take place in multiple different forms to serve your audience and multiple different places in the marketplace to be able to make an impact. And I think Dr. Dawn Ella's story gives us a great example of that. So again, thank you for coming on the podcast today. And to all of you genius entrepreneurs out there, or want to be genius entrepreneurs out there, listen to these stories. They are a transformation, and they are a transformation that you can follow too with your own genius. And don't be afraid to reach out, because there is a method to put your genius together and enter it into the marketplace. So we will see you next time. Thanks everyone for being here.